Everybody's fundamentally seeking love. Of course, we need a little validation. We love to be acknowledged.
Usually we would associate these words with a woman.
If you have got married, your dharma is to be husband first. If you have children, then your dharma is to be father first.
So if you've picked up a role, you prioritize.
Some of the men have lost their masculinity, some of the women have lost their femininity. Everybody wants to do all of it.
But that's because you're not judging the role. But women all over the world would be very happy homemakers because we are naturally gifted with taking care of you, taking care of the children, making sure that the house is clean.
Is there.
But there is a lack of respect. When a woman goes to them and says, this happened, this happened, this happened, they come up with a solution. As a woman, you will have to do more than complain and nag.
Yeah.
And as a man, what's a deal breaker for a man in a relationship?
Not to be able to feel that other person anymore. When this aloofness comes into a relationship.
In our Indian society, an authentic man is the controlling man. It's not the vulnerable man. If I really open up and tell you how I feel, oh my God, you could hold that against me.
That is manipulation.
That one partner that you have, अरे मैं इसको नहीं बोलूँगी तो किसको बोलूँगी? You don't have the passport to misbehave and then still expect them to love you. Recently, in a very casual conversation, my mother said, Kavyal, you're such a feminist. I was aghast because, hello, I love the men in my life and I've been blessed with some beautiful, beautiful men in my life. So as an ode to these very, very wonderful men, I wanted to have a conversation about men and women unfiltered. And today it is my absolute privilege to introduce to you my friend, somebody who has been a stalwart in the media industry for many years, being at the top of his game to completely exploring the other side of his masculinity, where now he is also a yoga and a Vedanta student and a teacher. A painter, a writer, a musician, a composer, a father, a husband, and so many more sides to him that are actually contributing into the world right now, making this world a wonderful, wonderful place. My dearest friend, Satyadev Barman. Thank you so much, so much for
This is so humbling,
being here.
my God. Thank you. Thank
you deserve
Kavyal.
every bit of it. And one thing that more than everything else that I have said, if you hear Satya's voice for 3 seconds, a woman will know exactly that she's safe with this man. So there is no better man to have on this podcast other than you, Satya. Thank you. You've come all the way from Denmark for this.
It's been a long one. Yeah.
Tell me, as women, we've looked up the books for years. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We want to know what the men want. The men are Googling up and saying, what does a woman want? Let's bring some clarity onto the table.
Absolutely.
As women, we feel like we don't need anybody, but we want the men to need us. Okay? So Satya, tell us this. What does a man really want? What do you
really
think?
want?
What do you think about being a man and what do you really want?
Okay, the operative word here is about not being a man. I think the operative word is being.
Masculine?
No, being.
Being.
Being a man, yeah, that comes later.
Yeah.
First is the authenticity of the being.
Yes.
So when and I've thought about this before you asked me also, because we discussed this earlier, So what is it that defines a human being before masculinity, femininity? So I'm looking at the authenticity always. This is the first compass. Authenticity in being, authentic presence, being real, being patient, being compassionate, being loving. And I think the most adorable quality of a man is when he shows up.
Yes. Oh my God. That's so important for us.
To show up. And to show up with the sense of uprightness, a sense of verticality, authentic presence, to show up whatever role you're playing, whatever role you have chosen to play. And that's it. That's all we're seeking, that authenticity in a human being. And it is that, if that's embodied in a man, that's a complete man.
You use these beautiful words of being somebody who's loving, who's compassionate, who is there, who's present. And, usually we would associate these words with a woman.
For sure.
Right? And that is the beauty about you, that there is a masculine side of you and there's a feminine side of you, and both are active.
Now I think there's a semblance of balance that has come, because I've gone through a huge part of my life where I felt I was more connected with my feminine side. You know, I've always been drawn to the arts and music and painting and this, and all my friends are wonderful, strong women, you know. So that feminine energy has been very strong in my life. This moving to Denmark, you know, I moved around 2007, and it's a very interesting society where it's a Viking land. When you meet some of the men in Denmark, you really feel a different kind of, a different angle of masculinity that we haven't experienced here. It's a different flavor. That was a beautiful eye opener for me. That little marriage that happened of this natural feminine quality that I had with that primal masculinity that is the Nordic one, you know, in the cold, and then all these big bearded Vikings. Have you seen the Vikings? You know, you
Yes,
remember those
yes,
characters,
yes.
right? There's some of them. My brother-in-law is like that. He's an embodiment of this, a Viking warrior. So this kind of authentic warriorhood that is there, and the working close to nature and getting your hands dirty, building stuff, you know, it brings you making a good fire. When my friends visit from here, sometimes like they come and they say, "Oh wow, bro, this is amazing. This is like this primal nature. I want to do something." I said, "Yeah, chalo, let's make a fire. Let's start by making a fire. Connect.
Going back to where we started,
yeah.
huh?
Learn to chop some wood properly without cutting your leg off. Make a nice fire, non-smoky, beautiful. Keep the family warm. You know, these little things, yeah. It's so beautiful to connect back at this basic level. You know, this is missing, no?
It is.
Yeah, people have forgotten to look at the moon only. Ask somebody when the last time they looked up at the sky in a Bombay sky and saw the moon.
Yeah, yeah.
Gone.
True, true, true. So that man that is there inside of you, and that masculine energy that is there inside of every man, do they also need and want to be as loved and cherished and adored like a woman does?
Of course, we are all relational beings, no? We also need a little affirmation, a little bit of hand holding, a little loving, compassionate cuddle now and then. Validation every human being needs. Unless you're so evolved that you don't, then you just need validation from yourself. That also you don't need after a point, right? But it's beautiful because that's that interchange, that exchange that happens in a relationship. That little bit of validation doesn't have to be big things. Just that acknowledgement. Everybody's fundamentally seeking love as human beings. Okay, sometimes the love doesn't come in the way that we expect it to come. Then we settle for the next best thing, which is respect, recognition, acceptance.
Oh, respect, recognition, acceptance
There's a
is the
whole-
next best thing.
Yeah. First is your birthright is love. Okay? Then settle for respect. Chalo, kuch nahi. Love nahi mila to respect hi de do. So of course we need a little validation. We love to be acknowledged. You know, when a man shows up, because it's difficult for men to show up also.
Yes.
It's difficult for men. You know, when we see the embodiment of the masculinity, when you see Shiva sitting on top of Mount Kailash, okay, things are happening. He is not there. He's just centered. Doorbell is ringing. He's not getting up.
Yeah.
You know, so to move and get things done, it takes a bit of energy. A little Shakti is required for that. So when finally the job gets done, it's nice to get just a little. Thank you.
I think women
Thank
are.
you for showing up.
Yes,
that's it.
yes. It's so important that men show up. I think women now, they've become so masculine in nature because they feel like their men are failing them.
Yeah, yeah.
We see that a lot of men today want their women to be submissive providers.
Both worlds.
You provide
Yeah,
and yet you be submissive.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And if we've given something to the man, a lot of jokes are made about this, that, eventually the woman will get up and do it on her own because either they do a very sloppy job or they say, Kar raha hu, I'm doing it, leave it to me, but it's never done.
I know. I'm married to a Danish lady, okay, Melina. Melina's wrists are double the size of my wrists. She's a Viking warrior herself, but calm, hard worker. She can put in more labor in the fields than I would ever be able to do.
Wow.
Okay. So, and she works. She's an IT consultant. She's out there doing her work whole day, sitting on meetings and everything. And I'm more of a house daddy, I'm working from home. I paint, I make music, occasionally go out, do a Vedanta class. And then I help a little bit in the garden sometimes. And I'm picking up the children, making breakfast, packing tiffin boxes. I'm the taxi the whole day running around. So there are a lot of things I see that she's the type, who's the classic type, who's going to do it. If you don't do it, she will do it. And she'll do it quietly, non-grudgingly. Now, that is the thing.
Yeah.
Non-grudgingly. See, it is a dance. It's a constant dance. Now, if I have worked the whole day at home and I've cleaned the kitchen, and if she hasn't seen it, I will try to point it out. Notice anything different here? You might not see it. So, but then once you let that go, when it's a natural flow, this natural dance, that you acknowledge each other, and she's playing the role that she needs to play. This is also her karma. Okay, but she's not trying to be masculine. She's doing things that need to be done. And yes, you're right. And especially in the society there, you see a lot of this. Some of the men have lost their masculinity, some of the women have lost their femininity.
Yes.
Because of this wanting to do all of it. Everybody wants to do all of it. This inner marriage is important. The inner marriage of the masculine and the feminine is what we are seeking, that perfect harmonized balance. But it's not, you can't do it all. There are certain things you will do more naturally, more efficiently, more beautifully, more gracefully, more lovingly as a woman. Same goes for a man. Some things you will just do, not better, but just the way a man should be doing certain things. There are stereotypes, but if you look beyond the stereotypes, then it's just, again, being authentic, being what comes naturally to you. Like, this comes naturally to me. To stay at home, take care of the kids and everything. I don't like working too much with people outside. I like to be at home. I enjoy it.
But that's because you're not judging the role.
Not at all.
Right? What I have experienced is that women, I do feel that women all over the world would be very happy homemakers if that role was appreciated, acknowledged, applauded. And they only feel like, I need to do something more because the society around them tells them there is no value in what you're doing. We don't want the role of the men. We're very happy because we are naturally gifted with taking care of you, taking care of the children, making sure that the house is clean. But there is a lack of respect.
Yeah. And also not just from the men. I mean, it's funny, this couple of days ago, I was with some friends. I met somebody new at a little social gathering. And of course, people were just getting to meet each other and asking these questions like, so what are you doing? And this lady who looks radiant, complete, full, happy, everything. And she says, actually, I'm not doing anything. Actually, I haven't done anything since the kids were born. She's raised 3 amazing children. She's kept this family flourishing abundantly. She herself is kind of apologetic. So we were talking about validation before, no? He doesn't need validation from somebody else. She doesn't need validation from a man or the children.
Yeah.
Talking about validation, there's one thing I wanted to bring back to you, like this validation that you get from your kids more than the partner. The kids have this radar of authenticity. I've seen that in small kids, like they can pick out falsehood so easily, naturally, instinctively. You go to hug a child, and if they don't feel that you're real, small children especially, before the ego is really crystallized so much, you'll feel that hug is tight. It's a little, okay. So they know. So when you see when that validation of authenticity comes from your own children, when they can just rest and look and just feel, oh, dad is cool, dad is in the right place. He's there. He's real. His thoughts, his speech, his action are aligned. Going back to being an authentic man. What you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing, please align. Don't think something, say something else and do something else.
I think we don't even know what an authentic man is. Satya, I think we are so scared of this word authenticity, and especially we're living in the age of social media, where there are filters for everything. You'll put on 10 filters and look nothing like yourself. Because maybe at the core, our society has instilled that, oh, we are ashamed of you. Oh, you're not good enough. And if you are just yourself, you're going to get nowhere. You're going to get nothing. And in our Indian society, an authentic man is the controlling man. It's not the vulnerable man.
Not the man who's holding space.
Yes, they don't know what it is to hold space.
I mean, of course, again, we can't generalize. There are amazing, beautiful, authentic men in this society as well.
But tell us a little bit more about holding space. What is that? Men don't know what it is to hold space. So when a woman goes to them and says, this happened, this happened, this happened, they come up with a solution, right? And all the woman wants
unsolicited advice and
for me.
Just let me just express this. When we sit in ceremony, if you're working with indigenous people, we have the sharing stick.
Yes.
The talking stick. Okay. So because we have a habit of talking over each other all the time, especially in relationship, we don't let the other person complete what they're going to say. So we're not really listening. We're already thinking ahead, 3 steps ahead, what I'm going to say, how this is affecting me. So my narrative is more important over your narrative. And you've come back dealing with after a whole day of dealing with imagine your life, you're dealing with all kinds of people with their problems, and you are holding space for them. No, what are you doing? You're holding space, you're allowing them to speak, to so that they can hear what they need to hear more than what they need to hear from you. A good therapist is doing that, right?
Yes.
You're just a mirror, you're just holding that space. That's what we need in relationship also, both ways. Both ways. She's coming with her whole day. She just wants to unload and just vent a little, or cry a little, or just be hugged a little, or just be served a nice warm cup of tea. That's all. That is holding space. That not trying to fix anything. Men have this tendency to want to fix things. Good if you are good at fixing things. Very good. Please. But listen. First, figure out if there's anything that needs fixing. Nothing needs fixing. It's all okay. Things are just happening. Hold space. Just be there. Authentic presence. Be there.
Just be there and allow your woman also to be
like
in the
this
way that
invisible
she
hug,
naturally is.
That's
right?
it. Don't try to fix things.
You know, I see that relationships start breaking apart when a woman is waiting for her man to come back home, and the man comes in and he's on his phone, or he's, just switching channels on television, and the woman is talking about your mother did this and your father did this, and he's switched off. He's switched off.
Yeah.
I do understand that a man may not want to hear his woman complaining about his own parents, because we live in that
of
patriarchal
course.
society.
Yeah.
But this is something that both of them need to know, that as a woman, you will have to do more than complain and nag.
Yeah.
And as a man, someday if she needs to complain and nag, hear it out.
Yeah. Please. I think this is a request to all the brothers out there. Like, I think women are multifaceted, amazing beings. If we could even begin to understand what woman is, we don't. We have many beautiful examples in our traditions. I mean, the Devi is represented so beautifully, multifaceted creation in all her manifest power, 10 hands, doing juggling stuff, doing everything. But we don't get it. Sometimes we just need to be told also, just, hey, listen, do you know what you got into? Do you know the power of woman?
Is a man threatened by that woman who can juggle everything?
For sure, I'm sure. At some point, when you see that she is, it's also extremely endearing to see a woman who's got it all together. She's complete, she's full. She doesn't need to be held beyond that little safe cocoon that you've created. And she's out there flying, doing her thing, and she can come back to the nest and just have a warm cup of tea and cuddle and do whatever and continue with her life. And it could be also very unnerving for some people. If you have an inherent insecurity in yourself, then of course you'll be intimidated by somebody who's complete, who's whole. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be inspiring. This is the whole point of relationship. See, one beautiful metaphor, years ago, I think it was probably Osho, who said, he talks about these two trees, these two oak trees that grow side by side. Tall, majestic, magnificent trees have grown. They're not trying to grow like this, tangling into each other's mess and business, okay? Does that mean they're not connected? Of course they are. They're essentially connected at the root. Yeah. And there's the sacred communion through the birds, through the wind, through the rustling of the leaves is there.
Yeah.
It's very subtle. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And as relationship matures, you've been married for so many years, you know that there are certain things that are just left best in silence. There's this soft undercurrent of harmony and love that is just there. You don't have to constantly display it or talk about it. Yeah. Just allow it. It's beautiful. Allow the other person to be. Just be.
Have you been heartbroken in a relationship ever?
One time. I didn't even realize it was a heartbreak. It was a breakup with a girlfriend when I was young and out there. And I didn't understand that was heartbreak. I was suffering for this 1 year. It was a pain in my chest, literally. Then I got it after 1 year. Oh, that's what heartbreak feels like. That sense of that there was something beautiful and there's something broke. Something broke. And I don't know what broke. Trust, maybe. Faith or respect or authenticity. Something went. I was too young to figure that out at that time. But I just sensed that was heartbreak. It doesn't feel good.
It reminds me of 2 lines of this beautiful poetry which said, कुछ अजीब सा जहर था उनकी यादों में, जिंदगी निकल गई मरते मरते. It's
goosebumps.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And we've all experienced that. But tell me this: what's a deal breaker for a man in a relationship?
I think for me, it would be not to be able to feel that other person anymore. When this aloofness comes into a relationship, no?
When it becomes transactional?
Transactional, so it's all relationship is transactional. Okay? We are living in a transactional reality. We are not living in absolute reality. Aspiration is absolute reality, but material life is transactional. Evolved transaction. A relationship is a very evolved transaction because it's built on love.
Yes.
Right? But when that aloofness comes, when again that not listening is okay, yeah, sure, yeah. That itself is a deal breaker. That aloofness, that not even taking it from her, it's just aloofness.
90% of our relationships are right there. That is how the relationships are.
Unfortunately, it's come
Yes.
to that. We can rework. Of course, we can. That's why we need healing. That's why you are doing the work that you do to shed light on these little simple things. This
And yet,
indifference.
most times, there's only one partner who wants to work it out.
Yeah.
There will be one partner who will say that मुझे कोई problem नहीं है, I don't have any issues.
The man usually will have
It's
no
the
problems.
man.
Yeah, he doesn't have any problems.
And the woman will be like, no, I'm not
Let's do
happy.
this.
And the man will say, but you're never happy with anything. So how, please tell a man how they can work that situation out.
Yeah. So a man sitting in this, I know it all, I don't have a problem, I don't have anything to be fixed. Figure it out. Life is okay, no. That aloofness also leads to this thing of this complacency, that it's all okay. What do we need to fix? But when a man actually has the courage or dares to touch the vulnerability, I mean, man, floodgates are going to open there. We don't allow it, right? We don't allow it. And I've seen that. I've had the opportunity of working with men's circles, It became a big thing for us. Till about 10 years ago, we were running these men's circles in Denmark and met amazing men from all walks of life. In the beginning, they all sit in this manly circle, sometimes online, sometimes we're meeting in the forest and everything, and this big brotherhood thing happening, and everyone's all man. And then one sharing circle happens, the talking stick goes around where you get that moment to just sit with the stick. Nobody's judging, nobody's expecting anything. And you have to speak from the heart in that moment of what is alive in you, what is present in you. And then you hear the first little choking happening in the throat, a little sob and a little tear coming. And then you see that, okay, wow, that this person has never done this, ever, whole life. At least you've seen this woman cry and bawl and rave and rant and just express and throw things because she can. She allows herself to be vulnerable. It's not alien to her. For a man, it's alien. So I would advise that let's get in touch with that. Let's start that culture. Let's normalize that being vulnerable is okay. And it sounds like a cliche because we're talking a lot about this these days. Vulnerability is a strength, right? It's not a weakness. But how to even step into that unless you allow yourself, unless you dare to? Because we feel that after that, I don't know how it will be handled.
It actually feels like a dare. Yeah,
it's
you're
like
right.
a dare because
You're right.
this partner of mine, this woman is telling me to listen. I need you to feel more. I need you to emote more. How else will you empathize with me if you have no empathy for your own emotions? So she's provoking. She's constantly saying that I need to see your vulnerability. But can she handle that?
That's a different question altogether because as women, we may ask our very strong men to be vulnerable, but I don't know if we are equipped to handle it.
Yeah.
If they would actually break down, open up, be honest. We all
because
ask
that
for
picture
honesty.
that you have of him,
yes,
or
will
the picture
shatter.
it will shatter also because that is also, and this woman has not necessarily grown up in a very conscious environment. Maybe her father was also exactly built into that same structure. So her comparison is also with that patriarchal whatever setup that she's grown up in. So suddenly she sees the vulnerability. Yes, so there's an art right there. That is where she needs to hold space. She needs to hold space.
Because a woman could start feeling scared that, oh
And
my
insecure.
God, I thought this man is going to protect me. Now I realize that this man
Needs
also
help.
has a weak side.
I need to pull him up.
I have to pull him up. Okay, shit.
Yeah.
How is that supposed
How
to
is
be
that
done?
gonna happen now?
Right?
Yeah. So that's where she can just sit, big mama, and just let him vent or let him release whatever needs to be released. And again, not try to fix him. Just listen out. That's all he needs.
I think in partners, it may also become difficult for them to get vulnerable, because if I really open up and tell you how I feel, oh my God, you could hold that against me
Completely. It'll be used against.
and bring it up on a bad day. And how can a woman build that trust with a
Through
man?
sacred space holding. A lot of my friends, they have this. They make a ritual out of it. Instead of doing it like, casually, like in the kitchen or whatever, they sit and they create like a sacred altar. You can do that. It's a beautiful practice, right? You make a little altar and you agree that we are here to meet in the heart because we love each other, and because the fundament of this, or why we are doing this, is so that we can grow.
Yes.
The shared spirituality is key to a relationship.
That is, if both the people want to grow.
Both the people want to grow, and the stars have aligned to bring them together.
Yeah.
I think it's Rumi's quote, no? Beyond the ideas of right doing and wrong
I
doing.
will meet you.
Yes, there's a feel.
Yes.
I'll meet you there.
Yes.
That there that he refers to is so many things. But to me, that is love. Even in the context of relationship also, I'll meet you there. That means that space is free of these ideas of right doing, wrong doing, you, me, us, them, right, wrong, good, bad. All that is left behind. All duality is left aside. So in a heart meeting like that, in a sacred sharing, there is room for everything. Because you're meeting there in this very safe space where there is no duality. There is no pushing and pulling. My old media days, the client would say, logo bada kar do. Increase the size of the logo. What he's trying to say, that's his way of giving a solution. But he's not a designer, he doesn't understand. All he wants to say is, I want more attention, something is missing, I want to be seen more. Okay, then something else can be reduced and the logo will look bigger. So sometimes when you say something, you're trying to give a solution, but you're actually not understanding your real problem. What is it that you're trying to express? That space, the sacred space, is simply about saying what you genuinely feeling at this moment. What is alive in you now, minus the story, minus the baggage. What is alive in you now, right here? What is it? What is it? And then we meet there. And that is so beautiful. Then magic happens. And then that will never be used against you ever. So that was sacred.
And it's our responsibility that we do not use it against the other person.
Not manipulate.
Otherwise, we don't deserve the sacred space.
Not at all. Then it's manipulation. Then it's just pure manipulation. That's just pure evil. To use that, that's abuse.
In a very patriarchal society that we are living in our country, it's a very cliched question, but I'm sure that this is going to help every man and every woman out there. Where the woman goes to the man's house and lives with his family, the biggest issue that comes up in marriages is the man forgets to be on the side of his own wife and becomes all about his family. So it becomes like this woman against the family. How can a man who's loving, who's nice, he's amazing,
but torn.
torn. What's
Because
the balance?
because
What's the balance?
It's just about understanding what your dharma is. If there is no idea of what your dharma is, what is the role you're meant to play at what stage in your life? If you have got married, your dharma is to be husband first.
Please say that again.
Yes. If
Please
you are
say that
married,
again.
your dharma is to be husband first. If you have children, then your dharma is to be father first. So when I was young, I was a son first. My parents were paramount because they were shaping me. They gave me the language I speak, the food I eat, the culture, my spirituality, everything came from them. My dharma was to be a good child at that time. Then I got married. And I had a choice, but I chose to get married. Now my dharma is as a husband. After you get married, the first dharma is as husband.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a duty. Then you have a child. First dharma is a father. You will do anything to protect and take care of the child because now you are responsible for that child. So on and so forth. This conflict that happens at home, my mom is saying this and my wife is saying this, is so common, it's still going on.
Yes.
This is being shown
It's
like
painful.
1,000 times on every soap, the same story, the same narrative, and we're still not getting it. In fact, we're perpetuating it more,
Yeah.
glorifying it.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And that maturity that a man should have in that moment to be able to sit in a sacred space with mother, with wife, with father, with sister-in-law, And this is very much alive, and I can see that in some of our friend circles. It's there. What you just said is there right now. These are educated, modern people. Come on.
So if you've picked up a role, you prioritize that role.
Yes.
Otherwise,
yes.
don't pick it up.
Don't pick it up.
Yeah.
Because you had every choice to say no that time.
Yeah.
But you can't be trying to keep everyone happy. Yes, you can respect everybody's wishes and everything. Work it out. Talk. Because he's feeling torn and he's feeling like now I need to mediate.
Yes.
But then mediate. Mediate consciously, lovingly, respectfully, and find the middle path.
Yeah.
It's all doable, right?
All doable,
All
yes. If there is a willingness.
If there's a willingness, if that courage is also there, maturity is required. Some
Yeah.
grounding has to be there. Some compass for guidance must be there. We are not taught these things.
We are not.
We're not taught these things. This is typical. We can go into a whole segment on parenting based on this, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like, I always believe that with the easiest, the most conscious way of parenting would be monkey see, monkey do. You do. Instead of giving gyan constantly to the children that you should be doing this, shouldn't be doing this, yeah, fine. But if you don't do it, careful, dhyan se karo. Focus. You are not focused these days. But have you taught me how to focus? Have you taught the child how to focus? Are you focused yourself in the first place, right?
We are teaching
You're
distraction.
yeah.
We are not teaching focus.
Exactly. On the contrary, exactly. It's counterproductive. So, if you are focused, I've started these small rituals at home, Kavyal. It's so beautiful. My kids are 15 and 10. My daughter, 11. Sorry, I can't say 10. He's 11 years old. So, Vishnu is 11. Isha is 15. We live in Denmark. Okay? I'm carrying a lot of India in me, but not in the typical conventional sense. Valina is Danish. But we pray before food. Okay? We hold hands. Just like we did before we started this podcast, we held hands and we said a little prayer, and you created a sacred space for us to be in, to record this, because this is important stuff. So for us, the food is important stuff. Okay, that's nourishment. And we all hold hands, and we've learned these 3 mantras, Aham Vishwa Naro Bhutva Praninam. Beautiful, they chant it in their own sweet way. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmahagno, Brahmanahutam. And I've explained the mantra meaning to them. So in the beginning, they were just doing it by rote because I was doing it. But now I've made them understand that connect. Be grateful for this food. Okay, let this food nourish your minds, your spirit, your heart, your bodies. For the child to grow up in that space. My spiritual teacher, he was visiting Denmark. He made us start this evening ritual. 6:15, we sit and meditate a little bit, all 4 of us. Maybe one of them has gone swimming or whatever. So the 3 of us then sit. 15 minutes of silence, a little bit of chanting maybe, just to. But if I don't do it, if I tell them, have you guys meditated today? But you were not there. You didn't do it. Why should we? So monkey see, monkey do. So the culture also has to exist in the family, this kind of open dialogue and non-judgmental.
I think what is missing in our culture majorly is that we have a lot of people who are spiritual enthusiasts, religious enthusiasts. They will go and do havans and pujas and kathas and everything, and they think, doing the malas 3 times in a day is going to make them amazing, but they don't know how to treat their own women and children and men in the house.
Another human being.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And this paradox, I've never understood this. Why? Maybe you can shed some light on this. Why do we misbehave with the people who are closest to us? We are always so good with other people outside and friends and social gatherings, but the person who you are living with, who you claim to love the most, you treat that person the worst.
I guess that's a litmus test of our character, no? Because we know that they won't go.
They won't go.
So the dark sides of me can come out on you, and I can bully you, and the latent, suppressed aggression that I have you're a safe space for me to drop it out. And people say that when they come to my office, they say that, "Arey, main isko nahi bolungi to kisko bolungi?" And I'm like, that one partner that you have, you don't have the passport to misbehave and then still expect them to love you. This is the partner you should be most careful with.
Yeah. To really, that's a turning point actually. When that realization comes at some point, then, my God, what am I doing? These are my children. Why should I talk to them harshly, or why should I order them around everything? Few years I have with them to see them grow, shape their minds, Only give them love, no? What else is there? Love and guidance.
Yeah. But I guess we can give love if we've got it.
Yeah. You can only give what you have.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of other stuff other than love. Most people don't even understand love. They go back to the second best thing, the respect and everything that we
Recognition,
started.
acceptance,
Yes.
pity,
Yes.
all of that.
Okay, one thing before we close. Women go through menopause. Okay? And we have
I know
a
where
lot
you're
of
going
jazz
with this.
around it.
Yeah.
And I've heard of this term that men go through andropause as well. What happens? Do you guys go through a shift? Do you guys go through an identity crisis? Do you wonder if you're still important? Do you have mood swings?
Of course. Men who pause. That is the time to pause. You know, that in Denmark we make fun. If somebody's bought a motorbike, chalo. Chalu ho gaya. Midlife crisis has happened. Now, this andropause has come. Okay, or a new boat. And that's a man's way of dealing with it. Because he's not trained to look within all those subtle changes that are happening in the physical body, in the mental body, the emotional body, the intellectual body, the spiritual body. Everything is going through a shift. You've lived almost half your life now, more than half your life probably, yeah? And you have ripened, you've matured. And of course, the things are going to happen now. It's time to also see, when we look at our spiritual tradition, the ancient tradition, so that first phase of life, the student was brahmacharya. Then was the grihastha phase, which is where you're a householder. And there was not 25-year segments, okay, of life. But when you were ready and ripe and mature to move to the next part of life, you did, organically. The third phase was vanaprastha, which is the withdrawal phase, before sannyasa. Sannyasa nobody does these days. But the vanaprastha phase is so important that when you start looking within now. That's the time to start looking within. Now, most of us haven't been trained to look within, especially the men, because they're not vulnerable. So then what do? You want to do something new. You want to change that scene, that little limbo that is happening, that vagueness that you're feeling, that
Out of role.
that out of role, something is happening. I don't feel the way, the body doesn't feel the same way. Thoughts are like, I feel I would rather stay at home than go out partying, all those things. But you're not looking at it as like, wow, that's the new me. Something new is being born. The caterpillar's dying, the butterfly is coming. But I don't know. So then you want to distract, like we do for everything else in life. You want a distraction.
And then that distraction can come in the form of another woman.
It can come in, of course, usually
An
younger.
affair,
Usually younger. Because I want to hold on to that side of me.
You want to still know whether you're still in demand. Right?
Desired. The desire to be desired. Yeah. So then the distractions will start coming. So maturity is very much required. And unfortunately, we don't talk much about it. I think I'm having this chat the first time like this, We are really not addressing it. Menopause, yes, right now, all my close friends, the ladies, a lot of them are perimenopausal, or they're just going through there, or they just finished. And I've seen that their phases, It's amazing to watch. Everybody's having a different experience of life. So are the men, but we're not talking about theirs at all. So it would be good to recognize it and just be prepared a little bit that, okay, there are hormonal changes also, basic level changes. So how do we deal with this? I think a little bit of indulgence is also required from the partners that, okay, honey, if a bike makes you happy, get the bike, but that's not going to make you happy. Let's also talk about what are the, change your roles. Don't try to do everything that you were doing. Maybe like, I'm talking about, say, the Scandinavian man who was building stuff and every year, like doing a summer project and getting on his knees and chopping wood and making a new terrace and building a little cottage in the garden and everything. And this year is not feeling it anymore. Oh my God, that's a lot of work. The back's a little sore and I don't want to do all the heavy lifting this year. Okay, it's okay.
And changing of role is not failure.
No, it's just a change of role.
Yeah.
Next scene, change of costume. That's it. I have to find my new dance, the new chapter. And then again, what can the partner do? But simply to hold space. Again, hold sacred space. Listen. Indulge a little bit, lovingly. Not try to fix. These are not things that need to be fixed. These are natural, organic processes of life. Nothing needs to be fixed. It's okay. So this is life taking care of us.
If I simplify that holding space, because we've spoken about it so much, metaphorically, it could just be this huge oak tree where somebody can just come and sit and feel safe around you, and you can leave whatever you have to leave over there, wake up, feel refreshed, and go back home.
Yeah. Like this, and in our culture, we talk about the banyan tree.
Yes.
It provides shade and everything. So it's an ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So you create this healthy ecosystem in the house where you feel safe, you feel heard, you feel loved, feel acknowledged, respected, recognized, loved. Work the other way up. Huh? So,
Thank you, Satya. This
Kavyal, this
was
is so
a
beautiful.
fantastic conversation because very few men will come up and speak of what they truly want because honestly, I don't think they know what they truly want. And it helps us so much that, you've been on both sides of the spectrum of being in the very strong corporate culture masculine to being in a quiet Scandinavian place masculine and being so much in touch with your feminine side.
That's a blessing, I would
It
say.
it
It's a
is,
blessing.
and I do hope that the women can understand the men better after this conversation.
Yeah, and the men can understand themselves a little better too,
Yes.
and their women.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you
Like,
very, very much.
thank
It
you
was
so
such
much.
a pleasure.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We're going to meet on another episode of the same podcast, The Full Circle, and discuss every single thing that can bring some calm, peace, clarity, joy, love, everything that you desire into your own lives.